The challenges facing colleges in West Virginia reflect broader issues affecting higher education across the United States. But in West Virginia, these problems are particularly acute. West Virginia has seen a significant drop in college enrollment and graduation rates. Demographic shifts, economic struggles, and changes in public funding have all played a role. Economic hardships have driven many potential students to prioritize immediate employment over further education. West Virginia's rural nature and geographic challenges make accessing higher education even more difficult. The situation is further convoluted by the fact that a significant portion of students are first-generation college students. According to the Center for First-Generation Student Success, these students now make up over half of all undergraduates nationwide. According to our Research and Development Department, over 68% of CU undergraduates are first-generation students. In West Virginia, the median parental income remains static at $27,000, while the income for continuing generation students has risen across the U.S. Dr. Sarah E. Whitley with the Center for First-Generation Student Success weighed in on the need to help first-generation students find success. She says, quote, "At a time when student enrollment and retention are crucial, it's imperative that colleges recognize the unique needs of first-generation students and drive systemic change to help them succeed." End quote. Despite these ongoing challenges, West Virginia's college students show remarkable resilience and determination, continuing to achieve success in their academic and personal lives. These are just some of the stories of the first generation in West Virginia.
During college at one point, I had 3 jobs.
I think they were a little bit scared of me leaving.
My father was killed in a mining accident.
My biological parents, they ended up on drugs.
I'm from McDowell County, West Virginia. I grew up in a single-parent household.
I was in and out of foster care when I was a younger child.
It's hard not having, the family to ask, hey, I got this really hard thing in school, I need some help on it.
I missed a lot of school due to an enormous amount of bullying that I have endured.
I'm very fortunate for the opportunities I've been given.
But when I learned of what mountain I did climb, yeah, I'm very proud.
I want to be a professor.
I want to go to graduate school and get a doctorate in occupational therapy.
I would like to go to grad school.
I'm very happy with my life, and I wouldn't change the direction that it's gone in.
I am a first-generation student.
I didn't realize how high the mountain was that I had to climb as a first-generation college student. Yeah! But when I learned of what mountain I did climb,
give it up for Say It With Music!
yeah, I'm very proud. My name is Jessica Lilly.
With a big thumbs up, we had a good time. We had a good time last year, didn't we?
I work as the communications manager for Gear Up Southern West Virginia, which is a federally funded grant program here at Concord University. I grew up in Wyoming County in Mullins, West Virginia, specifically Ipman, West Virginia, a very small unincorporated town just outside of Mullins. My mom worked in retail at the Crossroads Mall at Belk for a very long time, and then my father worked as a coal miner for a while and then worked as a lineman for a power company. I was a pretty decent student. Well, I was a good student. I was in National Junior Honor Society. I made the honor roll. I really had no idea how to get to college or what avenue to take. I remember during our award ceremony at Wyoming East High School, at our senior awards, I was awarded a $500 scholarship from Bluefield State and Concord University. That basically narrowed my search down on where I was going to college. It was, they gave me a scholarship, so of course I'm going to try to go to one or the other. When I came to Concord, there were a lot of people here who really helped along the way. One in particular was Sharon Manzo. I had the opportunity and privilege of joining a sorority back then of Alpha Sigma Alpha, and she worked in the financial aid office at the time, and she was a huge help. And really, as one of my sorority sisters, I felt comfortable approaching her and asking questions, and her really helping to guide me along and show me what I needed to do and answer those types of questions. But there were so many people here at Concord that helped me in those aspects, in those types of questions.
I got halfway. We got a strategy.
My freshman year of college, it was during spring break. On March 13th, my father was killed in a mining accident. He was electrocuted on the job on the surface of a site. I withdrew from classes and took a break and took some incompletes and then went back and finished them. And the professors were understanding as soon as they heard that I was dealing with some very difficult challenges. Then they were willing to help. My father had always told me, he said, and I could hear his voice, right? But he would say, Jessie Boo, get an education, go to college, get your degree, so you don't have to work like a dog, like I did, or like I do, I should say. So I did it for him. It wasn't an option after a while not to graduate. My father was a very humble and a very kind and a very, very selfless person. So he gave to his family until his last breath. And he continues to give today.
You're good. You're good.
I studied communication arts here at Concord University, and then when I learned that there was an actual program, once I got here on campus, that you could actually study and take an avenue of being on television and being on the radio and things like that, and that was one of my strengths, it just kind of made sense that I would again, take that avenue and study communication arts. And I learned that through a sorority sister in Alpha Sigma Alpha who was already in the program and told me more about it. I was very blessed to get a job right out of graduation. And I have said this before, Dr. Balgus, I was one of her students in business communications classes, and one of the last assignments of her class was she told me to interview a potential employer. So I went to the news director at 59 News because that's where I wanted to work, and just gave a list of questions for her, and the last question that I asked her was, hey, how about an internship? And then I ended up getting an internship and then started my career there after the internship as a full-time reporter at 59 News. After that, I was then blessed to get a position at West Virginia Public Broadcasting and worked in public broadcasting for 14 years, I believe it was.
Is a key indicator of future enrollment and success in college.
Take two. Stick around. Coming up.
Gear Up Southern West Virginia, we work with the class of 2028 and 2029 in Mercer, Monroe, Summers, Wyoming, and Raleigh counties. And we help them to graduate from high school and to succeed in post-secondary education in college after they graduate from high school.
College life is really like, but it's super free.
It's incredible. It's so inspiring, and it feels so great to have the opportunity to work with students, to tell them you can achieve your dreams. And not just that, but here's how. Here's the steps to take to reach your dreams and pursue whatever type of education that you might want so that you can get to your other dreams that you might want. It's incredible. And there were plenty of times, there were plenty of classes that got really hard. But I knew how much he wanted me to graduate. And it's still kind of a thing that I'm looking for today. He was always so proud of me. He was such a humble man, and he was just so proud of me. And I just wanted to make him proud.
Just because you're a first-generation student, I don't think you should feel
I am a nerd, yeah.
the pressure to have to do some crazy great thing. If you want to go for music or education or whatever, I think you should go for what you want to.
Are those taped together? Or do they come that way? Okay.
My name is Adrian Spalding.
Trying to make myself feel better.
I'm a senior at Concord for computer science.
Like lightning does strike him.
My parents split, and it was back and forth pretty much from around when I was in first, second grade. And so it's been back and forth. Mom had primary custody, so I'd be with her majority through the week, and whatever, it would be homework and stuff, and then Dad was just to visit Dad. It would be every other weekend. After 2012, 2013, it was just living with mom. There was no more back and forth. High school is where it really started getting, especially with math, because I would always take the advanced classes for math. I would kind of be on my own in that kind of regard. So I was taking AP honors classes, and I graduated top 10, got some college credit before I came here, so it was a lot of fun. Absolutely not. I had no idea what I was doing. FAFSA was a curveball, and I mean, that was another challenge me and mom had to figure out. We were like, oh, there's this big thing. We got to figure out how to do it, because that's how you get money to go to college. Having to figure out FAFSA and what a promissory note is for your loans, and taking loans out at 18 is scary in and of itself.
And I looked and I said, I'm not standing behind that podium.
So when I first went to college, I mean, I couldn't just, it was no longer I could catch the bus and get there. First college was in Beckley. Had to go and figure out my own transportation, carpool, that kind of thing, manage gas, still work and go to school to have enough money to pay for like gas money and stuff, which, mom would help occasionally with and stuff like that. But mom also wanted to teach, responsibility, and you should work for the things that you want, which is great. I mean, that's what I've done.
Adrian, A-D-R-I-A-N.
Because I work 3 jobs. I tutor, and I note take, and I work at Lowe's. Like, I do all 3 different jobs, and so it's been really hard at times to balance money and academics. I've always been a band kid, actually. So like this year specifically, like my senior year, as of this last semester, fall 2023, I've never done choir. I've never done anything like vocal performance or anything like that. I've only done band. I've played trombone since I was in 5th grade. But as far as like vocal performance, I mean, I like singing in the car. Like most of us sing in the car. People have been like, oh, there's a scholarship if you try choir. And I was like, you know what, sure, I'll try out for choir.
Those who carry coal shall remain colliers.
And so they were like, there's this musical, this cabaret thing, and like, you should try out. Jordan Stadvik encouraged me to try out, and so I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. I tried out and I got it. I've never acted before, so that was definitely something I knew I would have to kind of figure out how to do. But I mean, I just went for it. Directly after graduating, I'm going straight into industry. I'm taking a gap year, and I'm like pushing myself, like if life allows me to, next fall, not this coming fall, but next fall, I want to go to grad school.
Adrian Marcus Spalding, Bachelor of Science, Computer Science, magna cum laude.
I want to be a professor, like way down the line. I want to be a professor.
I'm going to do one more. I'm going to turn your head.
All of the things that I've learned in industry, I would like to share to the next people, the next generation that come to college, whatever.
All done.
Not only like my industrial experience, but also some of the things that I've had to overcome as like a student. Like I'm not going to watch somebody struggle. I mean, like I said, I tutor here, and I mean, seeing some of the people, I'm like, here, let me talk to you. Let's not talk about how to do this problem. Let's talk about some things.
Coming from a family that doesn't have any education hardly at all, God blessed me with the opportunity to go into college. My name is Caitlin Fitzwater. I'm a senior at Concord University. I grew up in Crab Orchard, West Virginia. It's not too far from Wyoming County, about probably 10-15 minutes from Beckley. Growing up, I had a pretty good childhood. I mean, there were drugs and stuff that we had to deal with, but it wasn't bad. My parents owned their own business, so we weren't hurting. My biological parents they ended up on drugs. I'm not sure whether it was before or after I was born, but they were on drugs regardless. My biological mom, I don't know her at all, but my dad's still around. He's been clean for about 9 years, I believe. But they adopted me because they couldn't take care of me. School was amazing. It was my favorite part of my childhood. I loved to learn. Really loved music class. It's my favorite thing ever. Still is, honestly. About the time I graduated, the COVID thing happened, so it was a hot mess. I changed schools 3 times before I even started my freshman year at college. I was gonna go to University of Charleston for radiology, but again, COVID and all the precautions and whatever, I was like, nah. I ended up going to WVU Tech for my freshman year and then transferred here for my sophomore year. So I took a psych class, it was Psych 101, and after that I was like, I think I like psychology. So I ended up switching my major to psychology. I don't think it was a conscious decision. It was just at the time something I was interested in, but then once I got into it, I was like, oh, this is why they did X, Y, and Z. It made sense to me why they did the things that they chose to do, and I couldn't blame them for anything. It helped me, I guess, be at peace with their decision, like just understanding largely. I couldn't be mad at them for it. My parents didn't want me to have a job. They were fully prepared to support me financially, but it got to the point to where I ended up with some financial issues and they couldn't keep up with it, so I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. You're not going to be able to financially keep up, so I'm getting a job. So November of 23 is when I got my first job.
Our next speaker is Caitlin Fitzwater. Caitlin is a senior majoring in psychology at Concord.
Right now I'm in the McNair Scholars Program, and that's honestly where I've got the most of my guidance from, as far as like just financial aid or graduate schools, anything college related. It's been great.
Caitlin Sky Fitzwater, Bachelor of Science in Psychology.
I think the person that's helped me the most has been Vicky Hart. She's just guided me. Like, I had no idea what I was doing or where I was going. I'm about to graduate, and the amount of support that I've got from the staff here at Concord has been incredible. I would like to go to grad school. Like, I mean, that's what McNair is about, going to grad school. At some point, I'd like to get a doctorate. I'd be happy with a master's, honestly.
One of my big regrets is that I wasn't a better student. So I hope everybody turned in your assignment that was due. But overall, I'm very happy with my life, and I wouldn't change the direction that it's gone in. At this point, you're in a 400 level computer science class. You know what files look like, okay? My name is Lonnie Bowe. You have thousands of files on your computer. I am an assistant professor of computer science. So I grew up in Coal City, West Virginia, which is about 45 minutes, an hour away from Concord, depending on how fast you drive, right? I would say that I had a pretty good childhood. For about half of my childhood, my mother was at home. We grew up at the end of a street where my cousins kind of lived around us, and so it was a nice environment. My dad worked at a small grocery store in town, so he kind of knew everybody in the community, and that was nice. Eventually that grocery store ended up kind of closing, going out of business, and he ended up at Walmart. During the period of time between when the grocery store closed and when he got a job at Walmart, he was on unemployment for a while. That was kind of a tough period for my family. I'm an only child, and so my parents tried to do the best they could for me. And in retrospect, there's a lot of things my parents did for me that I kind of, like, I really appreciate, but it was probably a bad decision for them. So I'm a computer science professor now. But I really wanted a computer at one point because I didn't have one. I was fascinated by these things, and I didn't realize how expensive they were. And my dad went out and put a computer on his credit card and put himself, into debt for this computer, and then, ended up like unemployed, and that was a bad thing. And he got in some credit trouble eventually for things like that. And so I kind of feel bad, but he was just trying to do the best he could. Now, I think his investment paid off, but I do feel a little guilty about that. The idea of RAID is not the bug spray, right? We don't need that. We're not going to spray our computers. When I was ready to go to college, though, that's where I kind of got a little bit of like pushback. My parents had not been to college, so they didn't really know much about it. I think they were a little bit scared of me leaving, and even though the college I was coming to, Concord, was only an hour away from their house, they thought that it felt like I was leaving them. So I did kind of push back against that. I thought, they don't want me to go live my life. They want me to, just stay here and do kind of what they've did. But now that I have 3 kids, even though they're not college going age yet, I kind of start to see things in a little bit of a different perspective with age and have more sympathy for their positions. My parents, when I applied to Concord and got the scholarships, they were excited for me, even though they were still kind of scared. And, they tried to help me through the process, though they, really encouraged me, don't take out any loans, right? They were very loan adverse, probably because they'd had credit problems before, which is good. It's good advice to take out a whole bunch of loans. I just remember being so lost on Concord's campus, which is funny now because it seems so small and so familiar. But at the time, it seemed so huge. Turns out I qualified for the student support services, the TRIO program on campus. And they had a student there, her name was Mary, and she brought me in and helped me talk to somebody about classes to register for. And I remember Mary gave me a little tour of campus, took me over to the old Student Support Services office, which was in Whitehall at the time. And I just remember being down in the valley behind the bookstore going, oh my goodness, where are we on campus? I don't know how to find my way back. So it was scary getting my bearings. It's pretty wild. I would have never imagined that I was going to be a college professor when I started. Honestly, I didn't know that graduate school existed. I kind of thought that college was it. You go to college, and if you're just really good at college, they make you a professor. I didn't realize that you had to go to more schooling after your 4 years to do that. I would encourage them to remember they're not alone. There are a lot of people who want to help you, and if you can get over your fear of talking to them and asking for that help, you are going to find a much bigger support system than you ever imagined. Your faculty members want to get to know you. They want you to be a part of their lives. They want to invest in you, and they want to see you have the greatest future that you can possibly have. I try to encourage my students every day to come to my office and just hang out and chat, and that way I can get to know them. But you should always be thinking about recommendation letters and what people are going to say about you. So that's one of my biggest pieces of advice is to look for the people who will help you and let them help you.
Therapy, working through that has helped a lot. So I have 3 teenagers, and it's been challenging to say the least. I do take a sense of pride in knowing that I can help the people who truly want to be helped, and feel more confident about moving forward. Hi everyone, I'm Tiffany Everett. I am an instructor of the social work program. I work at the bachelor's level. I was in and out of foster care when I was a younger child, so I went to multiple different schools. I was first removed at the age of 5 or 6, and my sisters and I moved around to 6 different foster homes. So I went to a couple different schools during that time too as they moved. And so that was like 2nd and 3rd grade. And then in 3rd grade, towards the end of it, I was removed from my mom again, and we went to stay with my aunt. I can remember like getting off the school bus like any normal day, and she just had all of our stuff packed, and by us I mean me and my 2 sisters, and she told us we were going to stay with my aunt for a little while, and we never went back to my mom. My aunt and uncle eventually adopted us. I honestly never thought college was a possibility because I remember talking to my parents about college, and it's not like they didn't want me to go. And again, for clarification, when I say parents, I mean my aunt and uncle who adopted me. It's not like they didn't want me to go, but they were like, we don't have the money for that. We started looking at schools and the cost of schools, and they were like, there's no way we can afford that. We had a presenter come to my high school, and it was Upward Bound, which is a TRIO program. And so because of Upward Bound and my participation in that program, I applied and was accepted. I participated in that through 10th through 12th grade. They helped me realize that college was a possibility. They taught me how to apply for grants, scholarships, loans. They were the ones that helped me fill out my FAFSA when it came to it, because again, my parents had no idea what to do. The initial process of doing all that at first was overwhelming, but then I found the right people to support me, and they helped me get to where I wanted to go. And then the transition to here on campus, Concord, that was huge because I'd never been away from home. I have a lot of self-doubt and low confidence, and so it made me feel like I was less than, that I shouldn't be here, that I'm not smart enough for this. The good thing is I came with some friends, so they kept me motivated, and then I found Student Support Services, which is another TRIO program, and linked in with them, and they kept me on track. And then later McNair. I found a way to belong, even though sometimes those thoughts came in that I didn't belong. The fact that I did find all of that, I was able to help kind of combat those negative thoughts and remind myself that, hey, this is where I can go if I need help. Unfortunately, we all probably do experience that, and those are real feelings, real challenges to overcome when we don't know how to ask for help, when we're too afraid to speak up because we don't know if someone's going to judge us. I was what is called a 4E scholar, and so this is a scholarship that is federally funded to help get child welfare workers in the field, basically, so you could work for Child Protective Services or adoptions. I did my field internship or my placement at DHR under CPS, which is Child Protective Services at Mercer County. So I knew later on that I wanted to teach. I assumed that that would require a doctorate degree and much more practice, years in the field, that sort of thing. Dr. Pendergast, again, director of the BSW program, she personally reached out to me and she asked me if I would be interested in applying. I had asked Lisa from McNair to review my CV because I had never done one before and I didn't know how to do it. So she was like, I'm more than welcome to, or I'm more than happy to look this over for you. So I she did, and she sent it back to me in all the red. She did a really good job editing. And then one day she reached out to me again, and she's like, how did that, did you ever hear back from Concord? And the guilt of her reaching out to me and knowing that I never took that and did anything with it and applied made me apply. I went through the interview process, which was during COVID 2020. So I had to do everything, virtually, things like that. And then, Dr. Viscosi, I think might be how you said his name. He's not our provost anymore, but he called me, told me that I had the job, and I just was in disbelief. So I came here in 2020, learning how to be an instructor during the middle of a pandemic. Knowing that my story could help, maybe even if it just helps one person, it's enough to be able to talk about it and to get through to people. I have self-disclosed in the classroom about my own mental health. I don't make it all about me. It's not a huge discussion, but it's something to let students know, hey, we all struggle. Don't be afraid to reach out for help. And don't suffer in silence, because I think a lot of us tend to do that, suffer in silence. So I find a sense of pride in the fact that I know I can give back to those who are currently, and all of our situations are different, but for lack of a better word, in a similar situation as I was when I was a child. So we do have a lot of students who maybe are in the foster care system, or like you said, living with grandparents or older relatives who maybe don't have the knowledge about college or how to help you go to college, or their parents struggle with addiction, and so maybe they didn't get removed and they're still in the home, but their parents just are absent. So again, that's where I feel like people coming alongside these children and being advocates for them to help them in that transition is so important. My passion and the population that I study are teenagers aging out of foster care. So that means they were never adopted, they didn't have legal guardianship, they just were in permanent foster care, basically. And so when they turn 18, they're just out. Those students are who I would focus on too, especially the first gen. Like, I've actually had a couple students who fit into that category. And so it's my job as the instructor, one, to be empathetic, and two, to just help them and support them, and just constantly remind them that I'm here to help them, and that they can do it. To understand how many kind of walls are put in place for these individuals who are in foster care, who are now first gen, who don't have, maybe family support, like they already have 500 walls in front of them, I feel like, that they need to jump over all the time. It may seem impossible for some people, but it's try to remind people to remember that they can do anything, that their past doesn't define them, and that, you know, even if they had parents who unfortunately struggled with addiction, mental health, whatever that might be, that they can still make a path for themselves.
It was all up to me finding my own pathway.
I looked for this because I'm very much a baseball guy.
It's hard to find your own path when everyone's telling you theirs. My name is Levon Stevens. I'm from McDowell County, West Virginia. I went to school at Mount View High School down there in Welch. Played for the Golden Knights as a football player and as a baseball player. I grew up in a single-parent household with my mom. And it was just me, my mom, and my little sister. Just having always just the one parent to rely on, and that can be very stressful on both ends as a parent and as a child. But my mom was there. She was always there to the best of her ability. She took me to practices, picked me up from practices.
I might have an exam or something, so I couldn't tell them yes right away. So like I said, you can turn down a game if you want to turn it down. If you want to pick it up, you can pick it up.
I wanted something for myself, and I believe that leads to a better future financially and just more of a better mental health and physical health. I didn't know where to look for scholarships. I didn't know where to look for grants. Didn't really know how to get FAFSA going. It took a lot of calls just to figure out FAFSA. My mom didn't go to school. She's a very smart person, but she didn't go to school. So when I have a school-related question, it was hard to figure out who to quite ask. You know, someone that you could really trust and confide in. Derek Scott, Beth Sampson, Bill Fraley over there, and now Heather. She's a part of the office, but even before that, there was a young lady named Destiny Robinson, and she was a great presence here. And she's from my area. She's from McDowell too, and I went to her about many things, and she was so smart, and she guided me in the right way. Every year that I've been here, you know, a few times I've had death in the family. I've had death from friends and family, and it's painful to go through those things, but also you got the aspect of life continuing to go on. Honestly, if I was somewhere else, I'd probably be in a worse boat. I felt like Concord, the people who work at Concord, some of my professors, and the people around me was a great support system. And some people around here could tell you, like, I was in a rough patch. I didn't do quite well in classes, and that has been some of my biggest struggle since I've been here, is just going through that part of life, which everyone goes through at some point sooner or later. But like I said, the environment here led me to being okay.
On May the 4th. Yep, I can do May the 4th for sure.
I'm a part of many different things like FCA, Bonner Scholars, I'm a weekend mentor. Weekend is kind of like the best way I explain it is it's like a big brother, big sister type program. You get someone, or even if you're a foster grandparent, something like that, anyone can really be involved as long as you're a good character, you know, and you really desire to help people younger than you. And that's me, that's right up my alley. I want to deal with, you know, working with children to help them get better mentally and physically. I mentor 2 middle school boys right now, and I love it. You know, I'm getting to see them grow physically and mentally, and it's a good part of my life, honestly. I'm an African American, proudly. You know, the standards are different in most cases, I feel like, because honestly, if I'm outside of these twists, braids, whatever you want to call them, I have the biggest afro in the world. And I love my afro, but I know how to keep things professional. I know some people don't view those things as professional. So it's just one of those things, like, depending on who you're dealing with, things are very different. But it's just a part of life right now. I mean, you take it, you get some, you get, you get some, you give some. People get put in these characteristics. People expect you to be something less than what you really are. And I think a lot of people might have saw me maybe when I was younger and didn't think much of me. But now I'm on my way to trying to get a doctor's degree. So just because you're set with different things, people are putting you under different categories. And, you know, and hey, some of these things do help eventually, help you get scholarships and everything nonetheless, but that doesn't mean it's an excuse. Don't let it be an excuse.
You could get a cell phone back then, but it certainly wasn't like a smartphone. Smartphones didn't come out until I was in graduate school. But if you wanted to make a call on a cell phone, they charged you by the minute back then. And so, I didn't have a cell phone. You couldn't video chat, stuff like that. And so it really did feel like there was a huge distance gap between me and my family.
I know before, for me, I would go to my counselors in high school and say, hey, can I have a list of scholarships? And I'd get a print off of all of these different scholarships with a mailing address and a phone number, and had no idea what the criteria was and things like that. And now it's just a few clicks of the button, few button clicks online, and they can have access to different scholarships and things like that. And, and back then we used to camp out and try to be first in line to the registrar's office to try to get those classes first. And now you get a pen and you can do it online, so there's no camping out. And that's also, that was kind of fun, right?
It's a lot of pressure to even take in. I have a reputation for myself and for my mom, so that's something that I want to express and have a lot of people learn about me. My name is Lily Palmer. I'm a freshman at Concord University. I did start out in California. I grew up in Joshua Tree, California, or the southern part of California. And then I moved to Beckley, West Virginia. I lived there for a good 7 years. And then I started out in Princeton, and I started thriving a lot more just because I had endured a lot during my elementary and middle school years. I got bullied a lot. I got bullied hard. I missed a lot of school due to enormous amount of bullying that I have endured in elementary and middle school, especially being a new kid, where I've lived there for so long. I didn't make any friends. I was very essentially alone during that time period because I didn't have anybody. I didn't have really any family. I wanted to go to college and earn a degree because I'm a first-generation student in my family. My mom went to WVU in Morgantown, West Virginia. However, she couldn't complete her degree because she had a lack of transportation. But I wanted to come to Concord because I've been here for so long, and I've always wanted to pursue in college and get a sociology degree or any social work degree. I've always wanted to do that since I was probably in middle school. I've been wanting to do that for a long time. I love helping people, but earning a degree is something that I will always and want to brag about, so that's why I've always wanted to go to college so I can be successful for myself. All the money that I have for college, I have earned through the state and government based on my parents' income and my income, so I don't have to pay anything out of my pocket. So I have a lot of money in, about 20 grand of money in for college to finish out my year. Those are not loans, I'm student debt free. It's gonna be a lot at first. It's gonna be very overwhelming at first, but once you settle down, it'll be a lot more calmer. Try not to, especially your freshman year, do not try to join various clubs and all that and all that other stuff. Try to take it in, try to see if you like it during that time. And it's also okay if you don't, especially major-wise. I know a lot of people kind of have a hard deciding on majors or if they want to transfer and move it. But try to take in whatever you can as a freshman and try not to take too much on your plate because you will be overwhelmed and essentially you will burn out.
Most of your parents and people that are older than me, and I was lucky enough to have my parents and people teach me how to file taxes, how to balance a checkbook, how to apply for a credit card, and I think those are things that students still face now. I cosplay and do conventions and stuff, and I remember going in one of the panels that I was in. Their finale thing, their final round of it was, hey, fill out a W-2, and there were two adults, and they were like, oh, easy, done this before. But there was a kid, and he was like, I have no idea how to do this. And so, being an adult, if you will, adulting is definitely still something that a first-generation student has to come up with and overcome.
Being a first-gen student is something to be prideful of.
Concord University, this is Dara. How can I help you?
My name is Dara Ladner. I am a data analyst in the IR department. I grew up in a small town in Monroe County, West Virginia. It's known as Peterstown, West Virginia. Very close family. My grandma owns a restaurant there. We, was always doing stuff, going to fun places, going camping, and to Tennessee and to the beach. And we had a really good childhood and playing around. We did a lot of camping and Seth Mountain Lake, all that good stuff. I had good school years, elementary through middle to high school. I've always been a good student with A, sometimes B, the classes I don't love, but had good attendance and, tried hard, but also had fun. I played a few sports, cheerleading, basketball, track was my favorite. I only played basketball one season. I cheered for many years, but through elementary to high school. Track was my favorite. I did that as soon as I could sign up for it my freshman year because unfortunately we didn't have it in middle school like a lot of other schools. So that was my favorite sport that I excelled in pretty well through my sophomore year, and then I had a little hiccup my junior year and went back my senior year. When I got to high school, I started going to the VOTEC where I did some graphic design classes for like the visual business. I'm not exactly sure what the name of the program was called, but I just fell in love with graphic design and I really loved it. So that's kind of from about my freshman year, I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew I had to go to college to get that degree. So I just, that's what you do. So I just set forth and just did what I had to do. I really enjoy what I do. I definitely got in it for the passion, not the money. Graphic designers don't make a whole lot of money, but thankfully I'm not a sole provider. I have a husband that he makes more money than me, so he's the breadwinner and takes care of everything. So it's pretty cool being the first generation. So it was my mom and dad. Neither one of them went to college. My mom got her cosmetology license through a VOTEC, but never did any actual college credits. My dad never even applied to college that I know of. So it was kind of nerve-wracking being the first one because it was all on me to figure it all out. I couldn't ask them for help. I've always been a pretty organized person, so I followed strictly, the guidelines and stuff that the school would have. I would print off the classes required for the major. I would print off the general education classes, and I made my own schedule my whole time through college. I graduated a year early. I just took a highlighter, and highlighted what worked with my schedule and built my schedule and just did what I had to do, I did not get financial aid because my dad made too much money working for AEP, according to FAFSA and how they do the estimated family contribution. Anything that I couldn't get enough loans for, I had to pay out of pocket, right? So for any books, anything like that.
What can I get you guys to drink?
Thankfully, I had started working at my grandma's restaurant at a young age of 14.
Can we take that plate out of your way?
So I had some money saved up that I could put down that first semester, cover the book charges, things like that.
Alrighty, I'll be back.
During college at one point, I had 3 jobs. I worked very hard and a lot of hours. I didn't have the, typical college life. I would say, I didn't stay in dorms because that's extra money and I had to pay for it. So I commuted, it's cheaper to pay for gas than to pay for dorms at the time. I do feel pride with my work ethic, I guess I could say. I was raised, with 2 working parents that work hard, and that's kind of the only way I knew, and I knew that that's what I had to do to make it happen. And still today, I take pride in my work and put forth a lot of effort in everything that I do. Things definitely turned upside down. It was very different and weird, because I've never experienced anything like that. But everything automatically went to straight online, so I didn't have to commute my last semester, which was convenient, but Also unfortunate because, you know, it came time for me to graduate and I didn't get a graduation. I had a cap and gown and all the things, and I was actually at work during my commencement. And I set my laptop up and just, you know, watched my slideshow go across the screen.
Dara Ladner, Master of Business Administration.
So that's why I was excited to especially do my graduate degree. So I'm gonna walk this May. Being a first-gen student is something to be prideful of. There's gonna be challenges that some other students didn't face. Thankfully, especially at Concord, you know, they offer great resources as far as like student support services and other areas on campus. Everybody's so nice and willing to help. So I just recommend any first-gen students to, you know, seek out those resources and, you know, make use of them because they want to help you.